Hi everyone, so Prashant from Globalizers, and as usual we are doing one video which is very important, special for all of you, and definitely it relates to study abroad. And unlike a lot of other videos that I've done previously which were primarily related to MS students, this is something very special, and the video specifically becomes more important for a certain segment of student fraternity, specifically pharmacy and biotech students, right? So we warmly welcome Mr. Vidit Minda in our studio.
Thank you so much, sir.
So Vidit has been a part of Globalizers not only as a student, right? We spotted that he has a lot of talent, and we asked him to contribute in our office also. So he became a student counselor and he became a faculty also. He taught a lot of students as well here. So Vidit had a phenomenal journey, and to tell all of you, he is going with a fully funded PhD to University of Missouri, Kansas City in United States for his PhD in pharmaceutical sciences, and which is going to specialize eventually in medicinal chemistry. So we don't know after 10-15 years if he eating a drug for any illness, maybe Vidit might have invented that, right? So Vidit, tell us about yourself. Tell us about the whole journey. I mean, where you come from and what's your background like?
Okay, so overall the journey has been a complete journey of growth and development, and I began as a student. In my 12th class, I had opted for biology as a vocational subject. So as a common student would do, I was expecting to be a doctor. However, inside I never wanted to be one, because that was not my ambition. I wanted to go for research abroad. So the Indian mentality never supports that. Any bio student has to be a doctor, either from a government college or maybe a private college, and then land up in some practice, which I did not aim to do. So I did not study well for my competitive examinations, and after that it happened that after completion of my 12th class, I was completely unaware of what to do. So I came to know that pharmaceutical sciences is a field where you can treat people, make medicines, and contribute your efforts for the development of the society. So I joined pharmacy. I studied at Devi Ahalya Vishwavidyalaya, Indore. There I came to know that there is something called study abroad. And my first meeting with sir was in a conference which was conducted by him, and there he guided me, after which I came to Globalizers and then joined the Globalizers, after which it was a complete change. Initially I began with GRE. So it happened that in the first month I was completely depressed. Being a biology student, I was not able to cope up with mathematics. However, after talking to sir, he said that just be patient. You will gather confidence once you practice a lot. So after support from the faculties and the team, I gradually started to cope up. I appeared for my GRE, and it was a decent score of 318. However, sir suggested me to appear for it once again. And it was quite a complicated decision, because obviously it involves a lot of cost and a lot of efforts and time. Still, it requires a lot of patience. So he always supported me in that way, and I will suggest you that whatever it calls for, you need to take a proper decision which will land you to a place where you actually desire. After that, because you appear for your GRE or GMAT or maybe SAT, IELTS or TOEFL is just a formality, which, as sir suggested, he asked me to take a date just after my GRE. I was not prepared, and quite unexpectedly, I had a great score of 115 out of 120, and that I always attribute the score to sir and his guidance and the team, obviously. So I believe that yes, there are many failures which you have to see, especially in the applications process, because application process calls for a lot of managed and guided process. I have a few friends So they were doing that process online without any guidance from any um, firm or maybe some other people who guide. So they were doing it completely online. What I felt with them, that I had an edge over them, because the expertise which you have from these people, their experience, just a single meeting is enough to change what you think. Initially, I was planning to apply for Masters of Science in Pharmaceutical Science. However, Sir analyzed the potential in me. He said that you are capable for a PhD. So I was quite doubtful, because we normally have a conception that we must do a PhD after a master's program. He broke that misconception, I would say, and that's what made me eligible for a PhD directly after my undergrad.
That's fantastic. So I think the another great revelation that all you guys can know, that Vidit just finished bachelor's last year and is directly admitted to a PhD program, and that's where United States is one of the differentiating countries from others, because you do bachelor's, if you have potential, they are ready to take you for a PhD program if you have your ambitions and research orientations clear and you have your fundamentals very strong. So Vidit, I mean, you were of course aiming for MBBS, right? You were opting for pharmacy, right? And even in this entire process, I want to know what negatives, what counteracts, where people were trying to discourage you or where people were trying to put you down. Were there any certain instances?
I definitely remember. I will quote an incident. Before joining pharmacy, I went to a person, he's a close relative, I would say, and he said that BPharm people are employed at my office at a salary of 8,000 rupees per month.
That's hard.
And I was completely depressed, just thinking that, am I going to work for 8,000 per month? So still, I would say that this is a misconception completely. Pharmacy is a completely underestimated program. So if you are a biology student and if you do not have interest in becoming a doctor, or maybe if you unfortunately do not clear your examination such as NEET, so there are a lot of fields which are available. For example, pharmaceutical sciences, biotechnology, genetics, and all these fields are so disregarded, disrespected in India. And that's because you are simply equivalent to an unskilled person. In pharmaceutical industries, I have seen unskilled labor working for a person who should be an undergraduate, and that's a bad condition. Secondly, if you want to practice clinically, you do not have exposure, you do not have guidance, and frankly speaking, people would call me a chemist selling some petty drugs, and that's totally different. In the US, you are respected, you are paid for your hard work and your efforts, your intellect is respected, so it's completely different.
And with it and a lot of other pharmacy students, even biotech students, I mean, why they become even more special for me, because even I'm from pharmaceutical sciences, and whatever he's saying it holds perfectly true, that people don't know what exactly a potential of a pharmacist, and they don't know what GlaxoSmithKline and Ranbaxy and Dr. Reddy's and what these companies are, and how pharmaceutical scientists work in these companies. And of course, I mean, their ignorance should also be pardoned, because they haven't seen what exactly you guys can do, and how much of course financial success, but how much professional respect you will get in United States. Probably US publishes probably 60% of the pharmaceutical research papers across the globe. So anyways, coming to discussion, coming back to the discussion, you were also, then probably you gave GRE and we applied, right? Then of course you showed your interest in teaching and you taught IELTS here because you had a fantastic IELTS, and you took computer based IELTS also. Probably he was the first one in Indore to take up computer based IELTS. So when you were teaching IELTS, right, what is your message to students who want to prepare for IELTS, right? And what are the weaknesses that you usually, spotted in them?
So it's not simply an English proficiency examination. As a faculty and as a student, I have seen that if you clearly go through IELTS or maybe TOEFL, so it will teach you how the life is there in the US or maybe anywhere in Canada, because it teaches you how to analyze. It teaches you various skills that are required in day-to-day life abroad. For example, I'll give a very simple example that through the listening section of IELTS, I came to know that you need to register for your courses maybe 2 to 3 months prior to actually entering your class. That was a revelation for me. So I do not think that IELTS or TOEFL will simply teach you English. They will change your personality. They will groom you. And if you take it seriously, you will surely be benefited by that. And even if you are a Hindi medium student, as I had many of them, please do not be scared of IELTS or TOEFL, because it is a very practical and conversation based examination. So getting a lot of exposure in English, for example, simple movies or maybe simple discussion in English will help you a lot. And that's what is a difference. You need to be confident. Your confidence will matter a lot.
Great. And what is your message for all the pharma and biotech students out there?
Okay, so here is the emotional point for me, because all my seniors, juniors and my colleagues, I want to say that please unleash your potentials here. Studying abroad in pharmaceutical sciences, in something related to maybe public health is extraordinary there. I would say that here in India, they are publishing 25 research papers and involved in a lot of plagiarism. There, you will not see that at all. Everything will have every worth of your effort, and if your aim is actually to serve the society and develop yourself as a person, you will get that abroad, especially if you're into biotechnology, pharmaceutical science, or maybe simply BS in biology. You can do great. It's not that you have limited scope there. You cannot even imagine the amount of scope you're going to get there. It's just entering into this process. Trust the process, because it will completely change you by the time you do your visa. I have seen myself and I have seen other people changing drastically. So trust it and be a part of it. You need to be guided perfectly, and that's what globalizers gave to me, that guidance, their experience and their support. A lot of emotional support, I would say. Sometimes I cried in front of him under the pressure. He was always there as a helping hand, and I really thank you for that.
Thank you, my pleasure. I think you've done all the hard work, okay, and I highly respect the way you worked here, right? Relentlessly, you never saw what is the time. Whenever we required you, you were there to support the students and help, and we definitely keep our eye on some talented students annually, so we can have 1 or 2 students, and they have as good potential as a professional, right? So wishing all the best to you with it, right?
Thank you so much.
I'm sure you're going to rise and keep inspiring and encouraging everyone as you've always been, right? And globalizers and I think entire Indore is extremely proud of you.
Thank you, sir.
All the best. Thank you.
Thank you,
Goodbye.
sir.